And welcome to Poppy's workshop. And it is January 1st. So happy New Year to you all. So the current project that we're working on is the door topper of what I'm calling the church in the woods. And let me get my little pointy thing here. And right now we're starting to work on some of the uh, bigger details. So the other day we were working on the steps, some of the side details, and then working on the cross. I'm not sure if I actually recorded that when I did that. Um, Let me get that out of the way. And yes, I am wearing knit gloves because it is still cold in the workshop. Um, so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to start working on the details of the upper ridge of the roof of the church. So that's what we're going to work on. Let's see, bring that a little bit closer this way. Let's see if I can do that without the focus changing. So we're going to start here. I actually did one large hole, one small hole here. Um, Reason why I did that is I wanted to have a little space to be able to turn around and everything in advance, but I probably don't need that. But the main concern that I have when I do this is to make sure, number one, that I have a very straight line for the roof ridge, and then work the details of the little piles of snow. So that's what we're going to work on. And I am using a, let's see, number 3 Flying Dutchman. And I found that to be the most responsive blade, that in the number 5. But being that I'm going to be doing some pretty tight turns, you know what I need to do? Uh, I'm going to keep on talking as I walk around, and we got to get some celebration lights on here. There we go. Okay. So we're going to get some lights on just because. Um, Let me get these on. These are just little battery operated packs that I use for some of my dioramas. There we go. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my camera views. I think it's this one here. No, let's do this. There we go. Let's have the close up, and then in the upper corner, we'll have the wide view. So you can kind of get a general idea of everything that's going on. Oh, wow. Can't see the back. See what hole I need to go in here. I think it's that one there by the cross. Uh, yeah, this is where it gets a little bit tougher to start threading, trying to get around the camera. I can't see. Here we go. Yeah, I did it. Okay. A little struggle, but not too bad. All right. So what I did is once I did the initial securing of the top of the blade, you saw that I just started to tension it a little bit, and that tightened it enough to straighten out and bring the hole directly in. So now what I can do is just retighten it, then tension, and that's just a habit that I have when I tension, just to give me the best tensioning possible. Now, I'm trying to look at how I want to do this. I mean, ultimately, I'm going to go there, but we're going to do the straight line first. I think what we're going to do, see if you can see all that. Maybe not. Let's see here. Yeah, being hidden a little bit here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to come straight down. I'm going to try and get in that little wiggle here and back out and nibble. And then I'm going to work my way back trying to get these details here. Um, I may wind up turning, going here, coming out. What I may wind up doing is cutting a straight line here, coming down to this point, and then coming back and revisiting. I think that's my plan. Um, Always subject to change as I move along. And I'm going to do this without vacuum or anything, so I have to move this back into place. I won't narrate too much. I think you can see the cut line. Okay, let's go. Okay, so you can see the straight line that I just cut, and you can see that I did it very slow. That way I can do micro adjustments along the way. And where did I throw that? Okay, I think you can probably still see that there. So you'll see that the squiggle line went below my straight line there. So I'm assuming that represents some of the ice dripping below. There was one or two places that it did that. Now I have a choice when I come back through after doing this and backing through. I can always nibble that out if I want. Actually, no, I don't want. Let me think about that. No, I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to ignore that. Um, I think what it actually wanted me to do was take the straight line, come around, and then go straight again, but I didn't want to do that. So let me back out and let me. All right, so that's the first one. Now I have room to spin around here. So I'm going to revisit that little corner there. So now what you can see, well, hold on, let me get this back. There's a piece of wood in there, piece of scrap. Let's get that out. There we go. So this was a spot that I had skipped, and I can now come back. And nibble out that detail. And there's a few others here that I can clean up a little bit. It's not really necessary, but let's do it anyway. And there you go. Let's get to the next one here. Ah, jumped out. The blade wasn't very responsive on that angle, so I wasn't afraid to miss a little bit and revisit. Let me just check how things are doing on the stream itself. It looks like it's working fine. All right, so I'm just looking to see if there's any areas I want to clean up. I think that looks fine. All right, let's get to the next one. Yep, I'm going to clean that up. And then that little spot to clean up here. There's a piece of wood in there. Yep. See, I could feel that little piece there that was in there. Because when I was trying to push here, it just felt like it was sticking. All right, I think we got that side done. Let me move this out of the way, give you a better view of the first side. So there's our straight line and then our little snow ridge there. The next plan is going to be to come down this side, and depending on the angle that I see as I'll go straight down. What I may wind up doing is backing up and then working my way down. I'm not sure just as yet. I will try and do the turn here and work my way back up like I did on this side. But sometimes when you work in details, the angles over here are a little bit different, so it's easier to approach them from the top side. So we'll make that decision once we do the first one and start working back up. Not sure just this yet. Uh, so now I'm analyzing this. Wow. So here's a decision that I've already made is I noticed, let me clean this line up here. I noticed that the cut line went all the way to here and all the way to here. So that means this entire precipice, well, not too bad, is only supported by here, connected to the star in here. So what I may wind up doing when I cut in is I may only cut in just a little bit, no more than half that line length. I want more support for this precipice because again, one thing that I'm thinking of maybe is removing this star. So I want as much support as possible because remember, this is going to be freestanding. So that's something to keep in mind as I move along. And I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work my way to this circle, clean that out, and then work my way down. Okay, And actually, I'm going to give that a flat little top there. That's what it looks like to me. Here we go. Can't see. Got to get that puffer on that to keep my line clean. I knew that was going to happen sooner rather than later. The blade slipped. I think it's still okay. I was putting a lot of pressure on it. Let me back out. Yeah, sometimes when that happens, the blade actually gets bent up and everything. So I'm going to keep an eye on this blade. I may be coming to the tail end of it because I've noticed this. Yeah, I'm not. Ah, there we go. Okay. I noticed the blade hasn't been as responsive as it could be. So I think that's finally given up the ghost. Let me get this under my magnifying glass. I can see. Get that. You can't really see what I'm doing here. There is some discoloration from heat. Not too bad, actually. And it didn't bend when it let loose, but might as well get myself another blade. So what I'm going to try and do, this may be a fool's errand. Maybe not. Huh. That actually worked. Let me, yep. I'm gonna pull up. And there you go, the blade is ready. Now, Usually I would dull those back corners, but in this case I'm not going to worry about it right now. But now I have a nice sharp blade and plenty of room to move around. I think there is a piece in there, but let me test this first. Yeah, there's a piece in there. You know, one thing that I prefer when I'm cutting is to always have the waste on the right side, because the way that I cut and the way that these blades, the Flying Dutchman, drift, I don't want to go into what I call the live area versus the scrap area. So I'm going to back up and I will revisit that one. And cut. With the scrap on the right. It's tricky on the first cut because I'm so close to the live. And also when I'm finishing. So I guess we can debate whether it's wiser for me to, let me back it down the other way. Let's compare. So I prefer to back it along my line so I'm not cutting. No, I still do that unless there's still scrap in there. Come on, baby, get out. There we go. All right, so let me revisit those areas. Scrap in there. Come on, there we go. I think I'm still more comfortable if I had come down from here. I'm nibbling a little bit. And yep, got a scrap in there. See how I can't get back? Being that I'm stack cutting, one piece went out. Well, there's a whole piece in there. You can hear it. There we go. Actually, other than this here, I don't really need to revisit. That's being a little anal. All right, get that out of the way. Okay, whoops, we have one more part. Missed that. And there we go. All right, let me get where I can turn this without twisting the blade. Now let's get that out of the way. All right, so now we have our next roof ridge completed. Not too shabby, yay! Actually, I do have to finish this up. I forgot about that part, but everything else looks really good. Now, a lot of people would say, why don't you use a spiral blade? Wouldn't it have been easier? Not necessarily. Remember now, a spiral blade is very, very thick and coarse. So you would not get these absolute straight lines and the thin lines in between. Here, it would be chopped up a little bit more. I just say, look, stick with a flat blade, get the details in, take your time. Let's see how I want to do this. I'm going to back it in. There we go. Take your time. And get precise cuts. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do here, is to be as precise as possible. So let me see where we're at. And actually, it's actually kind of funny looking at the sawdust. Is if you look here, you can see the tree impression there, a tree impression there. So that's kind of cute. Okay. So let's put that down. And go to the wide. There we go. Yeah, this is actually working out pretty well. So there is what it looks like from the front on that there. And let me flip it around. You can see the church is really starting to come through. And I'm really liking what it looks like right now. One of the things that I do frequently is I have my sanding block. This is my fine sanding block. I'll alternate between my coarse and my fine sanding blocks. just to get the edges where they need to be. And let's look at that again. Pardon me while I puff here. Get that angle towards the camera a little bit more. There we go. I think that's starting to really come out well. All righty. So I'm going to continue on uh, a little bit longer, but I think as a live video, um, I think we're right where we need to be. Let me move that. So what I am going to work on next is going to be this roof ridge. And then these are going to be very quick and easy, clearing those out. I'll get these windows, so I'll work my way down to basically complete the church. I still need to drill a hole here, so I can cut this piece out. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Yeah, so right now what is going to begin to happen is I'm going to start working the details down and out, finish up some of these other details. Then I think the once I get all that done, the next video that I'm going to do is going to be the, I prefer to call it the perimeter, the perimeter, and start cutting this baby out. Um, let's see, there we go. So, there'll be some tricky areas with the branches here. Not too bad here. Some straight lines. And again, I think for this here, I'm only going to go out just a little bit on this so that I have a good full support. Um, let's see, this won't be too difficult. Yeah, so the only tricky places will be these branches here, but most of what I'll do is I'll nibble out a little, come back, nibble, be able to come through and around. I may come straight across here, then come and do the V. I'm not sure, you know, um, not sure how I want to do that, but I will be doing a lot of nibbling. It'll be a slow slog as I do that. Now, the big question I have is once I get to this part here, so I'm going to start, I will start here, work my way around, then I will stop here. So that means I will only have, I think I glued, let me look. Yeah, I have glue here. So everything will still hold together. What I'm debating about so that I get absolute straight lines is then putting this on my bandsaw. Probably cutting this first, coming out, spinning, and then cutting that out. I have a 10-inch Wen bandsaw that'll give me those nice straight lines. I can do this. The other option is I'll throw probably a number 9 blade in, um, and I can cut that pure. But the bandsaw, I think maybe my best bet. So I'm going to think about that when I get to this point here. Um, so that's where we're at. So anyway, I wish everybody to have a blessed new year. May 2026 bring you everything that you desire, deserve. Got to be careful how we say that. I'm not making any New Year's resolutions or anything like that. Uh, just trying to be a servant of the Lord and enjoy my family, my grandsons, uh, keep on working at NATO, uh, and that's pretty much where I'm at. So may the Lord richly bless you. Make it a great day right here at Poppy's Workshop.